Howdy doodle doo, how are you? I'm Klassy Massy, and welcome to Klassy Massy. Today, I'm going to tell you how I colored this horseshoe wall decoration. I was itching to put another video under my belt, and I wanted to do a craft one. I was recently given a ton of ceramic pieces that needed to be painted. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of paint colors to choose from at the time of filming this. I just had paints from projects here and there, old paints given to me by friends, stuff I found on clearance, paints that were empty, and some were diluted with so much water that it wasn't even paint anymore. I have since purchased more paint that will debut in my next Klassy Crafts video. I still wanted to make a video, so I wondered what else I could use. I then thought of my Prismacolor Premier art markers. I received a large set a few years ago for Christmas. I don't get a chance to use them a whole bunch, so I thought I would try it out. I started by using the color light umber for his face. I felt like this was the color I saw in my head when I imagined a horse. It's also the color of the horse that sneezed on my face when I was little. I haven't really liked horses since then. After I finished coloring his head, I wanted to add some shadow, so I used sepia to darken the shadows. But the new ink color on top made the ink below bleed out in a little bubble-like shape. Like when you put a drop of water on the sidewalk, and it just pools out. So I went back in with light umber to build up more ink to try and saturate the color to create shadows instead. I realized that a lot of shading would not be possible, but I was still determined to try. I love adding shadows and highlights to my art because I love the dimension and life it adds to each piece. Camera switch! I was still trying to figure out how to set up everything and keep it in frame. I kept trying to bring the piece towards me and away from the camera without thinking, so I may be in the bottom of the video sometimes. I'm still learning, so please bear with me. Next, I went to work on the horseshoe. I was still hoping to get the shading I wanted, so I tried to put down the darkest gray first in hopes that when I put the lighter color on top of it, the bleeding would blend the color rather than push it over. So I used 70% cool gray in the deepest crevices, the places that would have the darkest shadow. Then I used 50% cool gray to shade the grooves on the outside of the shoe. After all my shadows were laid down, I go in with 10% cool gray. I color in everything because I'm hoping that it would blend the shading and it would be great, but unfortunately that isn't what happened. Instead, the light color made the darker gray almost completely disappear. There's still a few little splotches, but it's not great. I was hoping I could get it to work somehow, but the ceramic is too porous for such a thin ink to build up. At least, that's what my guess is. It could also be due to the ceramic itself, but I don't know enough about ceramics to make those conclusions, so RIP. Along with making the shadows disappear, the 10% was too light and I wanted the shoe to be darker. Since the shadows weren't working out, I didn't need to use my lightest color for highlighting, so I went and recolored it all to be 30% cool gray. I went back to work on the horse and I used 70% cool gray on the shiny bits on his reins, and I used black for the rest. When I got to the mouthpiece, I realized I had left his lip white, thinking it was part of the bridle earlier. So I went back and fixed it, and while I had the marker out, I tried to darken his muzzle, and it kinda worked for a second, I guess. Looking at the piece now, you can't really tell. Now that the front was done, I wanted to give some attention to the back so it wasn't completely abandoned, so I used black to cover the whole back of the piece. I put my signature on the bottom of the horse's neck off camera, because I forgot to sign it while I was filming. But it's POW! Although I didn't get all the shading I wanted, I'm still really proud of it. I got to experiment and learn what did and didn't work, in the art and the filming. I get to apply all my new knowledge in my next projects. Although, now that I have paint, I think I'll stick to that when it comes to ceramics. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more. Don't forget to make today a great day. Bye-bye!
Okay. Scrapping. Abort!
Unfortunately, at the time of filming I was still there. Oh, come on. I can English, I promise. It could also be due to the ceramic itself. I started at the wrong spot.